I hope I'm not too close to the microphone for this. Now, here's a little story I got to tell about three bad brothers you know so well. It started way back in history. Hold it now, hold it now, hold it now. Hit it! Director Spike Jonez lets the cameras roll in New York as ADROCK and Mike D stand on stage for 2 hours and recount the story of how Beastie Boys came to be, how they rose to fame, how they crashed and burned, and how they ultimately found their sound and themselves. This documentary, Beastie Boys Story, is available on Apple Plus, and so if you don't have that platform, I do believe right now they are running like a 7-day free trial period. I'm not sponsored by Apple, that'd be cool if I was, but just something to pass along. In case this sounds of interest to you, I do believe there is a workaround so at least you could see the documentary if it sounds like it's something up your alley. If you're a fan or even a mild fan of Beastie Boys, I think you can get a lot of enjoyment out of this documentary. ADROCK and Mike D recount just all the tales of the band, even before they become a band, just them growing up. And so they bounce back and forth, telling the good and the bad. Adam Horovitz, or MCA, is obviously missing from the onstage storytelling. Unfortunately, he died of cancer in 2012, and so the three Beastie Boys came down to 2 and definitely missing a key member. Now, the documentary is broken into chapters like a book, and it may have actually even come from their book that they wrote, but each building chapter just increases the intrigue, the interest level. I mean, you just get to know more and more. They dive more and more into depth about what's going on and what happened in their lives. And it's funny too. I mean, it's not just this droll thing, but it's also not just all a bunch of laughs. They balance it out well with some really good storytelling. Now, I'm a fan of the band and the music, but I'm not a hardcore fan by any means. There is a ton that I do not know about them. I didn't follow every nuance of their life, but I get to know a lot more about them in this documentary, which I thought was really cool. It gives me just a whole new appreciation for who they are as musicians and people. One thing that I appreciate too is you have these mega music stars on stage and they display so much humility while they're speaking and while they're telling their story. I mean, they are humble about it. And I love also that they're vulnerable, that they're able to share all of the bad stuff that happened, all of the poor decisions, all of the things that made them crumble for a little while and make them hate themselves and their music. But then we also get to see how they turned that around, how they eventually did find their sound. And a lot of that is in part to MCA. I mean, this guy is like some kind of savant or genius. And I loved the looks that ADROCK and Mike D would give each other on stage as they're talking about these things. And it would be like, how did he know about this? I mean, we're spending all of this time together. When did he research this? And he just like he knew these things. And it just comes across so well on the screen that it endears me to them and to their storytelling. And it makes me feel like they're talking just to me as I'm sitting there just watching, like it's the three of us sitting down and having a conversation. Thankfully, they play a ton of clips of their music throughout the documentary. Some is just going to end up teasing you and frustrating you, which is just going to make you want to go dig through your albums or fire up Spotify and just binge all of their music. Like I said before, it's amazing to see how much influence MCA had on the band, on their sound, and just every part of them. And I just found that very interesting to learn about. Now, as they tell their story, it gets really emotional towards the end. I mean, ADROCK talks about the last time the three play a performance together. And I teared up. And I think you will too, because it is touching. And it's so awesome to see two guys now telling the story of three and the love that they shared as friends. Not just bandmates, not just, members of a business, but truly friends who grew up together, who just figured it all out together. And now they're going through life changes together. So ultimately, Beastie Boys Story, the documentary, it comes across as a love letter to MCA. And I think it's totally warranted. It is just genuine, it's humble, it's awesome to watch. And like I said, it's only available on Apple TV Plus right now, but they do offer 7-day free trial periods. So you could at least hop on, log in, create a trial, and then binge this one and maybe other shows. I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the other shows, even though some of them are mildly intriguing to me, at least based on little concepts that I've read about them. So maybe I'll move off of my free trial and activate the full subscription. I don't know. I also have a ton of other platforms that I stream on, so who knows? But this documentary is touching and wonderful, and I highly recommend you check out Beastie Boys Story whenever you have the opportunity. So this might be a toughie. It is for me. I can't narrow it down yet. I'm going to have to noodle it for a really long time, play through a lot. But what is your one favorite Beastie Boys song? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share it around and subscribe if you haven't. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.